Hi there, everyone. Welcome to our ongoing run of The Between, a game by Jason Cordova, published by The Gauntlet. Before getting too far into things, I want to do a quick round of introductions. One of our members will be introducing themselves, well, just themselves for now, and they'll be introducing their character a little bit later once they settle upon it. But let's, for now, follow the character keeper going from left to right. So I think that starts us off. Oh, I'll introduce myself first. I'm Steven, he, him. I am GMing this run of The Between. You can find me at Steven Alligator, but you'll mostly find stuff like this. So well done. Uh, so now we'll jump into following your character keeper from left to right. I believe we're starting with you, Aniket, and you're American. If you want to introduce yourself, your pronouns, and who you're playing.
Yeah, I'm Aniket, he, him. Don't really have any social media presence. And I'm playing the American playbook. My American's name is Snake Eyes Silas Fletcher. He's also he, him. And let's see, what should we know about him? We don't know much about his background yet because he was only created last session, but he wears a duster, has a chevron mustache, and he's Vice's playing Pharaoh.
Yeah, and Aniket, are you sure you're set to the right mic? Because it sounds very distant and echoey right now.
Interesting. I am not 100% sure. Let me mess with that a little bit.
Okay.
Is that any better?
Yeah, I think maybe. Can you say some more?
Yeah, this is me talking.
I see you sound a bit louder. So there's still an echo, but it's a bit better.
Okay.
Cool. So yeah, let us then cut over to what do I have? I think next is our undeniable, right?
Sure. I am Brandon Ian. I'm playing the Countess Annalisa von Thorn, a woman of extraordinary beauty who styles herself a Viennese countess and does speak with an odd, difficult to place continental accent. She has said all sorts of things, but she admitted that there is a secret cult devoted to her worship that are scattered throughout London and meet in a chapel in the basement of St. Paul's Cathedral. She the last time we saw her, she played Pharaoh with Silas. She dressed down Miss Gagnon at the ballet in front of her students and was drawn by a strange keen voice to the wardrobe of the ballet theater, and there attacked by the Nutcracker, who was the servant of the mastermind, escaping only by flinging herself through a casement window and cutting her face. And there, as she was recovering from that, she met a snow leopard who was the form of Kazoku, who was dying. And she sang a lullaby to it to guide it on its way into the next world. That's all.
Cool. And this takes us to our legacy.
Yeah, hi, my name's David. I use he, him pronouns. I have, as we were just talking about, I've just had a spot of COVID recently, so my voice is still a little weak at the minute. So apologies. Yeah, and I'm playing the legacy, Rory McClellan. Rory is a young Scotsman. He goes on the hunt with a large claymore and a small boot knife, as well as tends to wear a kilt a lot of the time. Last time Rory didn't have a great time of it, all told. He had run into some trouble with the director at the Royal Ballet Company, and in the evening was overcome by the by the pull of the beast on him, and you probably killed a person. This is not 100% sure, but it seems the most likely course of events. So had a bit of a time of it.
Yeah, and Ben, I know you're still working on a character, but do you want to introduce yourself at least to for tonight?
Yeah, thanks for the offer. My name is Ben. What's interesting about me? I like cats, and I have been waking up at like 4 a.m. recently, which is like changing my life. And like going to bed at like 9. I don't know. I recommend. What else? I'm thinking of playing the Connoisseur, which is a custom playbook I worked on, which is like a gentleman thief, like inspired by like figures like Robin Hood or like
Raffles.
Hmm?
Raffles, perhaps.
Raffles. I don't know Raffles. You have to introduce me, Brendan.
Yes, well, it's a mystery writer, and I think it's more or less Victorian, Edwardian.
Yeah, a lot of, in fact, Raffles is sort of interesting because a lot of the kind of narrative arcs of Raffles are just sort of directly lifted from Sherlock Holmes. So Raffles also ends up faking his own death, only to reemerge in one of the stories.
Oh wow. That's incredible. I need to go make a faking your own death kind of move for this playbook. My gosh. And their name, I think it'll be he, him, will be Clark. What's a good last name? Clark Gibbs. Yeah, and then we'll find out more about him later. But yeah, I'm so happy to play with you all today. And I'm really looking forward to it. My goodness.
You probably shouldn't tell us this yet because the game doesn't like you to tell us the background too early, but I want to know what the newspapers call Clark Gibbs.
Cool. So this is our dawn phase. So let's just quickly check in for dawn questions here. We'll go left to right here for our American. I don't think we answered. No, we definitely didn't answer a question last session. So nobody answered. So we didn't answer a question. We didn't resolve a threat. Did you experience an echo in the night?
I did. Let me just refresh my memory. There was, in the unseen, there was a fellow with consumption, and he was described as sort of pale and sallow. And I described the drained condition from my struggle with the curse as leaving me with a pale, sweaty face.
Cool. So yeah, you get a mark 2 XP. Are undeniable. Did you experience an echo in the night?
Actually, I have a quick question.
Oh, yes.
Did I encourage a fellow hunter to let loose for a change? Would you say that the encouraging the Countess to play poker with me qualifies?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Okay, cool.
Does that make sense to you, Countess?
Certainly.
Cool.
Cool. So mark
I am-
3 XP.
I forget what which unseen we were doing. Is it the Bakerson?
No, we did the male prostitutes one.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. What's that one called?
It's all the way. Yeah, Madame Morvaine's boy tour.
Oh, okay, that's why I couldn't find it. The
There was the
I may
song like a
have. There was the
banshee.
song. There was the Banshees song, and I heard the Banshees wail. So I think
Yeah,
I think that's dead on.
yeah. Okay. So yeah, you did you express a preference for the beautiful
Beautiful
over
are
the
the
mundane?
certainly in the scene with Miss Gagnon,
Mhm.
and likewise, I had quite the outfit.
Cool. So you get a mark 3 XP. Our legacy. Did you experience an echo in the night?
Yes, I think I did. I did mark it off this time. I must admit I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what it was, but I think
That's
I
okay. Did you loudly curse your family's name?
Yes, I did. In the it's when I was talking to somebody.
Yeah, to a ghost, maybe delusion. We're
Yeah.
not sure yet.
Yes.
Yeah. And yes, I tasted someone's blood of the murder victim.
Yep. Getting a lot of play off of that question.
Yeah.
Well, while we're giving Ben a moment to work on his character, it is apropos of our legacy's interest in blood drinking. I'm pulling out the Limehouse Lurker. I've entered some of the stuff in over there in the Keeper, but let me kind of introduce the threat here. Oh, here we go. Jenny Johnston, the proprietor of an opium den in Limehouse, tells you a story that has not yet reached Scotland Yard or the papers. Three people have been found dead in recent days, the bodies completely exsanguinated. The first was a prostitute called Soft Jimmy, found in a dark corner of the opium den. The second was a young mother, Carla Bell, found in an alleyway behind the Limehouse School. And the third was a Chinese sailor, Xiao Donghai, found outside a pub near the Regent's Canal Dock, the Dog and Whistle. Jenny, an informal community leader in Limehouse, has been keeping the bodies in her basement. She's hesitant to go to the authorities because she fears it will cause trouble for the small but thriving Chinese immigrant community in the district. She heard that Hargrave House has experience with matters such as this and has asked for your help. So, I was looking through our characters, and y'all are a very, not a bright bunch, very unreasonable. So I'll be posing this question to our American Silas. Hargrave House knows about creatures that drink the blood of their victims. They're called vampires. A detail in Jenny's story convinces you this particular vampire has the body of a small child. What is it?
All of their knees are broken. The bites are on their upper bodies, but their knees are broken.
Great. So for this particular threat, there is a question that kind of unlocks a follow-up question. is this vampire young or old? In other words, is this vampire actually relatively young? Is its age corresponding to its appearance, or is it actually far more ancient than it appears to be? And then based off that, if it's young, what was the child's home-like life before they were turned? And if it is old, where is the vampire's nest? And both of these unlock the ability to both of those questions unlock either the ability to either slay the vampire or deal with it, or deal and negotiate with it in some way. So I copied the names of some of the victims into the threat tab over there, as well as some information relating to where each of them were found, in case you want to pursue any of those leads, as well as the fact that they're all still in Jenny's basement. So yeah. Ben, how are you coming with your character?
I'm doing quite well.
Are you ready to kind of give
Introduce
them
them?
an introduction? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So, hello. I'm going to be playing Clark Gibbs today, the connoisseur. Clark is he is a well-known fellow, and he has a tattoo of his child on his right shoulder. He has an air of smoke that never ceases to waft around him. He has he's always shuffling some cards, which I think Silas would enjoy. But that's a bit too close to Silas, I imagine. So he has a cane with a blade hidden within. He is a somewhat mysterious bloke, but he's always looking and touching objects that he finds around the house. He's very interested in the tactile. What else would you like to know about him? Should I read the flavor text?
What I'm interested, one of the things I want to know is, what is your vice?
Oh, my vice? Oh, I'm choosing between charity and playing with fire, but I think I'll play with fire. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna corrupt the youth. That's gonna be my vice.
Great. So let's see here. So your core move is that you have a scheme that you are working on here at Hargrave House.
Yes.
Right. What is the prize you are pursuing?
The prize that I'm pursuing is medical funds for my child, to pay for a serious surgery.
Okay. And which additional move are you taking?
I'm going to take a taste for it. When you touch an object relevant to a threat, I can ask certain questions, and when I play with it and taste it, right? Things like that.
Cool. Okay, cool. So yeah, I think that kind of introduces us to who your connoisseur is. Let's go around and give some things to put into your personal quarters.
May I read the flavor text?
Oh,
though?
sure. Go ahead.
I would be so excited to do so.
Go ahead.
London is a cabinet of curiosities, an oddity to be touched and admired, but most importantly, to be made your own. Few would think you rose from the working class, for you are an individual of uncommon refinement, with an eye that for as long as you could remember could appraise an object's true nature. Your work for Hargrave House is merely a gateway to acquire that which would be otherwise impossible. The strange, the macabre, that which can be fenced to parties interested in the singularly unique. The succession of threats you face is for you a feast to be enjoyed course by course, allowing you to take the leftovers and sell them to the slobbering dogs with their purses and cigars. You too have an undertaking you are funding, a project to attain, a near unthinkable dream that has long eluded you. However, this is a prize to be savored in time.
Cool. So yeah, we'll go around now and give some things to put into your personal quarters, Clark. So is it okay? I'm just gonna empty out your personal quarters of the stuff you have in there as your cat self.
Yes, of course.
The first thing I just have a thought right off the bat. I think the first thing I'll add is that you have a much loved stuffed animal. Actually, we'll make it a stuffed cat. Just
For continuity's sake.
yeah.
Excellent.
Does anyone else have something that is in Clark's personal quarters?
A pair of very fine leather gloves. Probably made from an exotic leather, such as ostrich or something like that.
Cool.
Fabulous.
Um,
Oh, go ahead.
okay. I think this is called a jeweler's loop, but it's
Yes.
a pair of spectacles with magnifiers
Mhm.
attached to them.
Yeah, the loop is the little cylindrical device.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So it's a yeah. They're like so you can see things very close up.
My mother was a gemologist for a period of time. Yes.
Nice.
And I think you also have a skeleton key that's got like a lock of hair looped through the hole on the fob.
Thank you.
Cool. With that taken care of, we open on the day phase. And I think that it has probably been a few days. The ghost has not been sighted in the following nights. At least not any sightings that you could reliably follow up on. And of course, there is a sense, I assume, of mourning around Hargrave House. I'm actually curious. This is something I'll throw out right now. As we open on this day phase, how do we see each of you, except maybe Silas? How do we see each of you mourning the lost member of the house?
Well, the Countess is very, I mean, the Countess is in full mourning attire. You know, very fine black waistcoat, skirt, top hat, long gloves, veil, which somehow does nothing to obstruct her allure at all. But you know, as if a very close member of her family had died.
I think we see Rory is sat sort of out on the back step of the kitchen, smoking a cigarette, and he's got like a little dish of meat scraps, and a couple of local cats are around. He's kind of scratching them behind the ear and talking to them as he would have done to Kazuko, but obviously there's no response from the cats.
They appreciate the meat.
So Silas didn't know Kazuku that well, but was there when they died. And I think he wants to put that body to rest, even if it wasn't necessarily the only body that Kazuku had. I don't think he quite knows how to do it though. He's sort of like he's found a spot on the Hargrave House grounds to bury. Was it the snow leopard that you were that was savaged by the? No, it wasn't the snow leopard.
It was a
some
three
other.
leg. It was a 3-leg church cat.
So he's found a spot on the Hargrave House grounds to like dig a cat-sized grave for the 3-legged church cat, and like feels like he should say something but doesn't know what to say, and is just sort of angrily pacing around, feeling helpless. I'm curious if this might be an opportunity, depending on how you interpret your vice, Countess, for a vulnerable scene with the Countess, because the Countess, I think Silas recognizes that the Countess is much more versed with these sorts of situations.
Yes, absolutely. This could be an extension of her comforting the dying, I think, since we went out on that, if that's all right, Stephen.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I think Silas is like has started saying a little eulogy a couple of times, has been like, I didn't know Kazuku that well, but no, I shouldn't start with that. Geez, I just don't know what to say here.
The Countess puts a gloved hand on your shoulder, and she says, just say what you know in earnest. That's all that anyone can do. There's no, a priest may have more practice, but in truth they have no more dispensation than anyone else does.
Well, Kazuku was a fighter. There are dark things in this London that we live in, and Kazuku was not afraid to stand up to them in the night when they're strongest. I saw it happen. Sometimes you're stronger than the night, and sometimes the night is stronger than you.
The night is always stronger than you. But I think, but for a time, you can nevertheless prevail. Which is just saying what you said in a different way. Rest well, dear, and I hope to see you again.
Ooh.
Someday, but if I don't, well then.
Cool. So this is a vulnerable scene, so each of you may clear a condition. We're sorry, Rory. But each of you may clear a condition if you want.
We invite Rory, especially given how he looks.
Well, vulnerable scenes happen between two.
Oh, it's
people.
only 2 people.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. And then
Rory can be there, but
well, I can either clear a condition or I can elaborate a clue, right?
Yes.
And so I actually think I will elaborate a clue.
No, you always clear a condition, but
Yeah,
then you choose
you
between a
always,
clue.
sorry, yes, I thought you were.
Oh, and then you ask a
always
question
clear
or like,
condition, and then you either invite the other person to ask you a question about your history,
Oh.
or you can stumble upon a clue.
oh, that's such a difficult choice here.
And like this is sort of one of the moments where usually like there's a rule in the game that says you can't talk about your history with other
Understood.
people. Yeah.
Silas. Maximilian. Do you have a question for me?
I sort of give you a strange look because I don't think I've told anyone that my name used to be Maximilian, or that my parents named me Maximilian. But somehow it seems appropriate that you would know anyway. I think my question for you is, when did you first know that the night was always stronger?
Well, I first knew that when I first realized who I actually was. I was under the impression for much of my life that I was just a rather fortunate young woman. But I was disabused of that notion. It's too bad. I think I might have preferred her life. But then I wouldn't be who I am. But the night comes for every one of us. In the end, the darkness. And what lies past that. And that's not a bad thing in and of itself. I mean, what may come after the night, maybe. But the night itself is just the curtain being drawn and the footlights being doused. And people are afraid of it because they cannot see what is going to happen. But it's not a terrible thing. At least I hope you don't think so.
I just gotta be more terrible than the night, is what you're saying. Gotta find a way. You gotta meet it.
We are candles. We are lights and we drive away the coming of the night by the force of our being. And at some point, the candle goes out. And that's a good thing. The world would be a very different and very terrible place if that were not so. I hope that answers your question.
I think Silas is silent, but still has a look of sort of determination. He's still angry.
Be calm, Silas. She lifts her veil and she kisses you on the cheek.
Silas sort of takes a deep breath and shivers as that happens.
She has an odd, there's an odd sweet perfume about her, something that reminds you of something long ago and is gone. She says, "Be calm. You can take up the fight against him."
So I think I have a good moment here for asking a question that will end the scene one way or the other.
Please.
In this moment, Silas, do you debase yourself in front of her and become her worshiper or not? Or do you break away?
I think I break away. I think Silas is tempted, but feels like debasing himself and becoming a worshiper here. He still feels like that's giving up the fight. And he wants to, in the Countess's words, flame as brightly as he can while he can.
She smiles as if to say she wouldn't have him any other way.
Great. And as we fade on that, how does Clark arrive at Hargrave House? And I know I brought up a pitch for a vulnerable scene there, but
I think it could be a vulnerable scene.
I mean, yeah. Is that something you're interested in, Rory?
Yeah, sure thing, sure thing.
So how would you frame it, Rory, do you think?
Yeah, I could see it going either way, I suppose. I could well, I say either way. I could potentially just see the two of them, hooking up just randomly, or potentially if Clark is kind of making more of a scheduled appearance, perhaps Rory is with someone else somewhere relatively public in the house.
If it's the former, is this before you actually realize the two of you are working together?
I think maybe Rory invites me to work for Hargrave House.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I wonder. I would love to hook up. Great way to start.
Okay. Cool. How are we framing this scene then?
Who's corrupting whom?
I think so are we at Hargrave House, Rory? Like, have you invited me in? Am I like a gentleman caller, or
Yeah, that probably makes the most sense.
yeah, like almost in mirroring the vulnerable scene that you had with Kazoku, where there's a gentleman in your bed and you're just preparing at the beginning of the day. And perhaps I'm it is after the business or during, but perhaps I'm touching your intricate old coin from Teleson and I'm asking about it, or but I mean that's an idea, or we could be mid hookup as well. I mean, it's whatever you're into.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I like that. And I think maybe as you're kind of looking at the coin, Rory sort of steps up kind of behind you, and puts a gentle hand sort of on the arm, not like resting the coin off you or anything like that, but just says, that was a gift from a friend. We've lost an awful lot of friends around here recently, I'm sad to say. And he kind of lets out a sigh and says, but such is our lot, I suppose.
I'm so sorry to hear that. eh, Clark looks up to you with like these big, like big walnut brown eyes, and says, "Well, he he really does feel sorry to hear that." He reaches up to touch your chin and feel the hair upon it, the bristles, and like tenderly holding, touching and feeling around the shape of your face, and says, "You know, I, I too have lost someone recently. There was a spell of tuberculosis in my family, and some people succumb."
I'm sorry
I
to hear
can't.
that.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine what horrible. It was just recently. It was right. The tone of your voice.
I we've these last few days, last week or so, it's as I say, it's all part of the job, but not a part of the job I particularly care for.
Well, is there anything I can do to help you? I mean,
Oh, believe me, you already have.
he grins, but
And
how about I go down and make you some breakfast?
that'd be awfully kind of you. I'll you do that. I'll um, I'll get cleaned up and I'll be down there in a few minutes.
I press the coin back into your palm and say, "Friends are very important, and I'm 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 glad that you have many. It's
Cool.
important."
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
I was gonna say before we kind of have the two of you break up, I wanted to check in, but both of you make clear condition if you have one. This is only Rory at this point, thankfully.
Yeah. I think I'm going to clear bloodthirsty, because I think this is a chance for Rory to kind of well, maybe not let go, but relax a little.
Cool. I think probably yeah, and I think which of those options are you picking? Are you going to stumble on a clue or invite the other hunter to ask you a question about your history?
I think I'm going to stumble on a clue. I think yeah, cool. So yeah, I think that maybe as um as Rory is washing in just like a kind of, cold water basin kind of thing in his room. As he sort of, washes his face and then sort of starts to dry off, his kind of nostrils flare, and he goes over to the window, opens it up, and kind of sniffs the air and looks out towards the east, where the sun's coming up, kind of thing. And I think the clue that I'm going to discover, this is for the Limehouse lurker, is just going to be quite simply the scent of blood on the air.
Oh. And I think a last moment as this scene ends, that we catch a glimpse of your reflection in the mirror as Clark leaves, and we can see in the reflection are two faces that we recognize from your past. The bloated corpse of the rider of Algernon, and the now sort of desiccated and rotting husk of the doctor. And I think that's where we close things. So, kind of continuing on the day phase, I wanted to go back around and check in with folks. What are you planning on doing? We'll probably have a chance for everyone to have, I think, probably one scene, at least, before we close the day phase and kind of continuing to Tusk. Silas, what are you doing with your day phase? What are you investigating or getting up to?
Yeah, as I mentioned, Silas is still upset about not being able to do anything about this incident that happened on the rooftops where the ghost attacked Kazoku. I think Silas is actually going to go back there, and he knows that he hit the dog's body, the dog's carcass that was being inhabited by the ghost. And so it might, I don't know if it would be leaking blood at this point, but perhaps some other rotting fluid is leaking out of it that he might be able to track to where the ghost is anchored to.
Ectoplasm.
You're still muted if you're talking.
Cool. So I think this might be, in this case, you're tracking, right? I feel like this is a case of maybe reason. It could be sensitivity. Or do you have a different idea for how you investigate, or do you have a different idea?
I was just thinking, I was sort of playing into the like wolfishness, but I feel like that's more significant at night. I think there's probably during the day there's no justification for vitality. So reason sounds good.
I mean, there are. It's just that like vitality is more about like using your actual like strength and vitality than it is just
actually
your
here's a
sense.
reason. Here's a reason to use vitality. This is tracking across rooftops, right? So like he's got to be able to climb up there, get from rooftop to rooftop, and travel that way.
Sure, yeah. Give me an investigate roll.
And maybe it's a clear trail. It's just a very hard trail physically to follow.
Yeah. That is 8.
Cool. So you do find a clue, but there is a complication of some sort. Let's see here. I think that here we go. Here's my clue list for that. I think that what you come across is a this is kind of the fictional complication here. What you come across is a building, what looked to have been a tenement house in the city. It has, as you've arrived, the fire has just gotten under control, but people are on the streets coughing. There are definitely a few dead. But we see, how do we see Silas like get into the building, even as there's this kind of crowd, the bobbies have begun to show up? Because with that role you can get in and get this clue. I'm just curious, what does it look like as Silas does this?
Yeah, I think Silas, so he has this purple kerchief that he wraps around his face so that he's not breathing in the smoke. And then he sort of pulls up his duster around his head and jumps in through one of the upper windows, using the duster to shield himself from getting burned too quickly.
Yes, and I think that what we see Silas find is, you can't make immediate sense of it, but it's as if like someone, after the fire raged through this place, methodically carved into the burnt wood just this long series of numbers. Like there is, like, the numbers you can't make immediate sense. They may have some meaning, but there's nothing immediately to be found there. And I think as you're inspecting, there's, well, let me see here. Who is that? A familiar voice that says, "Well now, we seem to keep running in the most unexpected of places, don't we, Mr. Fletcher?" And it is D.I. Pettigrew, who is looking in at the room that you have just climbed into. Now, why is Hargrave House investigating what to me strikes me as likely some bit of fraud by the landlord of this place, looking to claim a bit of money off the suffering of his tenants?
It looks like it can get you a heavy word.
Detective, I suppose it's no surprise that you haven't found the supernatural element here. But I assure you, this is Hargrave House business.
The Mommy Longlegs costume has
This
a
is
breath. Is that okay?
linked to the. I'll go ahead and tell him that this is. It's linked to the St. James Street incidents.
The Mommy Longlegs costume has a dress. It's a pink dress.
I see, and what exactly might that connection be, Mr. Fletcher?
I sort of get a little angry at him. I'm like, listen, detective. Or you call the inspector or something here. I don't care.
It's Detective Inspector, sir.
Whatever. I don't tell you how to do your job. You don't tell me how to do mine. I'm here trying to find a ghost, and I'm going to keep on looking for it, and you're not going to get in my way because this is my business.
Oh, this is straight up presence or composure right here. Which do you think you're using?
It's almost the opposite of composer.
Yeah,
But I think
presence probably.
composure is the
Presence.
right. You think presence? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
think they're the same
presence says-
anyway. Yeah.
Presence does say
What are you
intimidate
afraid is
someone.
gonna happen here?
I'm afraid he's gonna arrest me.
Okay, this is a day move, so I don't say how it's worse. So just give me a roll here.
That is a 6.
Yeah. That is exactly what he does. He takes a glance at some of his men, and you're right. I handle my job, and the way I see it, I'm going to arrest a suspicious individual. I found the premises of a suspected arson. And I think we see like the consequence here is that you're going to spend the night in a holding cell where we'll see what happens as you resist the change. Do you want to mark a mass to prevent that?
No, I want to get arrested.
Also one where you can see the outer.
Okay. What mask are you marking?
I'm not marking a mask. I'm getting arrested.
Oh, you're getting arrested. Okay.
And as they put the handcuffs or whatever on me, I'm shouting about, "You don't understand. There's a child. There's a child."
There's like a kind of put upon sigh as Pettigrew like looks at the police carriage pulling away, and he just mumbles Hargrave House and shakes his head.
Did he discover a clue?
Yes, he did discover a clue. It is a series of numbers found in a burned building.
I added it to the threat sheet.
Cool. Meanwhile, Countess, how are you getting up to with your day phase?
I believe, let me see.
Yeah, I don't see anything with rainbow friends.
Since Silas went on the path of the ghost, and since Rory is briefly indisposed,
The original costume?
I feel that someone should follow up the miasma thing, and I will do so in his
The
room.
rainbow friends? I didn't see it.
And what I will do
Okay, there is a costume for.
is I will look through the Hargrave House archives to find out what is said to be the source of the old Miss River.
There's a costume
outside of Miswell Hill. I don't care to visit Miswell Hill.
It has just 2 big eyes.
But I will go to the waters that feed it.
Yeah, that's all there is.
And I will take an offering of lilies.
You want that?
And there by the waterside, I will toss the lilies in the water, and I will say,
So do you want to go as,
Oh,
do you want to go as that?
River Thames, by the cousins we bear,
I can't hear you when you're acting like that.
I
Do you wanna go
ask
as that? Do you wanna go as the rainbow
for
river?
your help in understanding your pain.
Yeah. But I need you to make a decision.
Well, this is
Please make it much
definitely a
so I need you to
sensitivity
think about it. Does he wanna make
investigation,
it-
right? Information
absolutely
right
is.
here.
So, and I'm gonna send you.
Unquestionably.
Give me a roll of sensitivity. Let's see what you get.
I'm gonna sleep. This one doesn't have face though. It's a,
Do you have anything
Us.
personal effects that might in your personal quarters that might help you here?
Well, I
It
might
just
have,
says
but I
this
forgot to do it and I rolled.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, you rolled an 11. Would you like to mark a mask and
With
bump
the-
that up to a 12 plus and get a mastermind
the
clue?
little visor
I
thing
would
on it,
actually.
And then it's got.
But
leaves
only
there.
because our dear kitty's departure allows me to mark the gilded door. And so I will do that.
Yeah, so now you're most beloved. Your presence goes up by 1.
You guys are so silly.
Ooh, so let's take a look here. So you get both a clue and a mastermind clue.
A whole year? I will?
Let's see, I think
Liam needs to be grounded though.
yeah, as you kind of lay the flowers down into the river, there is a moment where this, because we've been to the Miz and its source before. It is under the streets of the rookery itself. It is a pretty polluted and really kind of part of the sewers of the rookery. I think that there's a moment of like clarity as the air here becomes fresher, more alive. And I think that you get a feel of your consciousness traveling along the water. You can feel your way through it. It feels sluggish, painful, but you're able to push through and feel your way forward, like climbing through a thick, smoggy slurry. And you have a vision of a small well in Miswell Hill, of a that was, now it used to be a holy place, but it's now profaned with rubbish and filth. And you know where it is. You could find it back here in your conscious waking. But that's the clue. It's a bricked up holy well profaned with rubbish and filth. That's your clue for the miasma. And for the mastermind, Oh, I'm gonna take a look at these, and I think we'll shift the camera away from you for a little bit and see what our new hunter is up to, Clark.
Yeah, Clark's going to the opium den. And is going to enjoy the services that the lady who called upon Hargrave House. I'm trying to remember her name. Give me a moment. Might provide. What's her name? It is. She's the Chinese operator, the community organizer. What's her name, Stephen?
Jenny Johnston.
Jenny Johnston, thank you. I'm going to Ms. Johnston's opium den and hear what she needs done. I hear there's bodies in her basement, but I'm interested in the opium, honestly.
Cool.
I imagine I push my way through the doors and take off my hat, my bowler, and just take in the space before I trying to locate Ms. Johnston.
Yeah, I think that it is, this is like many opium dens. It is, it is a very like enclosed, in London at least, it's a very enclosed space for the for the privacy of the patrons who might go there. It is dim and smoky inside. There's this heavy ammonia like smell that permeates the air, and people are lounging about on cushions. But as you're looking around, it occurs to you that people from all walks of life patronize Jenny Johnston's. What do you see that indicates this?
Is this for everyone?
This is for you.
Oh, this is for me. Okay. I think what indicates this is the variety of accents that I hear, because it is close quarters, it's cramped, but there's like high class. There's also from different areas around London as well, and some foreign accents, and they're all commingling, like, and they're softly spoken, but it really does provide a sense of community that they all of London is here.
Cool. And as you're at the entrance, woman, a woman in her, a Chinese woman in her 40s or 50s, pretty but very much showing kind of but very but in this sort of faded way of a woman who has worked a lot of hard jobs in her life and shows it. Approaches you. She's wearing a dark taffeta gown, and she looks you up and down. Are you here to take part in some of my some of our services, sir?
Oh, Lady Johnston, and I give a deep bow. And
She arcs an intrigued eyebrow at you.
you called upon Hargrave House, and I am a representative. I am here to help you deal with your business, but also on a personal note, I would love to indulge in your products. I hear they're the best in London.
Ah, yes, of course. You're from Hargrave House. I well, I wasn't told to. Uh, I of course you're from sorry, I'm just thinking here. Of course you're from Hargrave House. Will you be wanting to inspect the deceased? Then I have them on hand.
I I I would like to take a look. However, I do get a bit at the sight of blood. I get a bit squeamish. But I would like to look around the premises itself first and see the where these one of these bodies might have been found. I hear.
Of of course, you understand though that the privacy of my patrons is of utmost importance to maintaining a business such as this. I cannot simply have you spreading word or making them think that a official of the empire is here causing that and might cause trouble for them. So if you could keep it quiet. And she leans in close and gestures a bit at, you can see a sort of draped like private room. I would avoid our patron in the private room. He is she kind of cocks her head from one side to the other. Unique.
Well, I will do my best, Lady Johnson, to assuage your concerns, and I will not pry into anyone's particular business. Is there anything I can do for you today?
You can make certain that no more deaths occur here in Limehouse. The residents here already have enough trouble with the police as it is without having a whole murder investigation. I'm thankful that there's, well, it's callous, but I am thankful that there was that murderer terrorizing the
the one
the ballet,
Uh,
as it means the police have not had time to turn so much time to turn their eyes here.
If possible, Ms. Johnson, I would like to be put in touch with there was a sailor who, and I lower my voice. There was a sailor who was assaulted, was there not? I would like to visit any loved ones you might have that might know, so that they could provide some context about what he was up to the night before.
I could ask around. I'll get you that information when I'm able to.
Thank you very much. I will take a look around, and I'll try not to ruffle anyone's feathers. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. And how are you investigating around here?
Oh, I'm going to go straight to the interesting the special the room that she said not to go to stay clear of, because I'm looking for any kind of uncanny or queer figures around here, who might not fit in with the crowd.
So sneak in there, see if you can get a peek.
Yep.
Cool.
It was Bob's birthday.
I think this is probably I'd say it's a day move with composure. What are you afraid is going to happen here?
Oh, I think what's going to happen is when I open the curtain, it's going to be Detective Inspector Pettigrew. Yeah, yeah. And that he's going to immediately be suspicious of me.
But Marlene was at your grandpa's party.
Sure. I think that it may not be Pettigrew himself, but we'll see. Unless that is revealed, maybe DI Pettigrew is his something far more than human. It can be in multiple places at once.
Well, I was thinking that it's not exactly, not all the scenes are exactly at
Yeah,
the same
I know.
time, but like, different times of the day. But yeah. So composure. Give me a moment. What is my composure? So composure is 0. So I'm gonna roll 2d6.
Do you have anything in your private quarters that might help you here?
Oh, wow. That's a great idea. I just received some wonderful items from my fellow hunters. I think there's some very
Skeleton.
fine ostrich leather feathers that I'm not going to use it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Give
I'm
me
gonna-
give me. Oh, go ahead.
2d6, right? Composure. A 5 and a 2.
Okay, so that is a 7. You enter, but not without complications.
Hey, I'm sorry I lost you. The off button,
Well,
yeah.
I think that we will actually,
I said,
if
I'm
it's
sorry.
okay, as you are entering, we'll see what the complication is in a moment.
Okay.
But
Who? Oh,
let me bring this up.
I wanted to tell you, what's that? I wanted to tell you that I'm sorry if we felt somebody was alive and completely bothered. Can you listen?
Let's see. I think Countess, as you come to, you are somewhere far deeper in the cave, this river that of the stream of Old Miz. Surrounding you are countless.
What?
Well, not countless. There is one true passage. This is actually a fairly simple passageway, but along all the kind of walls of this, it looks like there might have been some old Roman construction here even. There are hundreds of elaborate chalk drawings all over it of doorways, each one smudged as if being furiously erased,
Stop, please.
Yes.
Liam. You can have it in just a minute.
And I think as you are gazing around, that voice of the woman on the boat rings out from deeper in the cavern. So here you are, witness to so many doorways to nowhere. A nowhere that exists between and without.
So I'm sorry.
A doorway that refuses to open or be. What doorway do you step through, Annalise?
Hi, Liam. Hey, What you're doing.
My
right now
function is
is
to open doors for others.
I can't understand.
I,
you
um,
talk like that.
I have no door myself,
Well, listen, I want to talk to you seriously.
nor can I make use of one.
Can you do that?
When there are no more doors to open, when my time here is done, then I will return whence I came.
I love you very much.
Stepping
I've-
out of the shadows
If you wrote something
is
like that, I would prefer if you could calm down so that
Titania. Flanking her
you
is
had somebody
a
able to
massive
say things
brute
and
of a
react
man.
to hurt your feelings. I
In a
Yes.
uh
Would it be respectful to your brother to do the same?
in a kind of ill-fitting
The answer is yes.
coat and coat
The
and
answer is
pants.
You're so funny, baby.
You are, oh, you do not go through
Not-
doors, you are a door.
Close, but no.
Must
I-
one break
I
you
wanna
open
tell
to use
too
you?
that I love how funny you are, but sometimes we can't be
The
funny
man behind her cracks his knuckles expectantly.
because, you know,
With a sound like nuts cracking, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
you know that, right? Okay.
Breaking me will not get you what you desire.
Why do you feel bad now?
Nor will a simple door avail you
I can
of
tell
your
you have
lost
no reason to feel bad. This
kingdom.
is just a thing that we're learning, and so even if we make a mistake.
You know
we're
that
learning,
as well
right?
as I do. Your
Leah.
reascension to your throne is a remaking,
You know
not
that.
a simple passage. I am sure that you are more than
So
capable of
I wanted to talk to you.
transiting from one
Remember what you picked
world
for
to
your
another.
house, right?
And if it were
Arthur,
that simple,
I think
then
you decided that
we
you
would
wanted to
not be
the
here
blue guy,
doing this.
and you decided you wanted to be purple guy.
Desire, desire. I do not even know what I desire yet. But, sorry, one moment.
I see. All right, well then we can do a honey buggy together. We can do a blue guy. Yeah. What? Oh, cause
I feel like I can't back down a step with Titania.
It is a situation that where you have a strange relationship that's like very intimate but very antagonistic, and I'm always on edge when I see you in a scene, Countess.
Hmm.
But yeah, as I was saying, desire, desire. I do not even know what I desire yet. How is one to know a desire before one feels the crush of bone and the splitting of flesh under one's fingers? Yet you claim to speak true to my heart. Are you merely a part of me, milady? A voice in my head speaking my thoughts before I have them?
No, I am the voice that would speak to you after you are ready to lay those things down, which clearly you are not yet. you can't I don't have the answer to the question that you pose of the reason for your existence and of what you desire now. I only know what you were, and I presume what you could be again. But if restoration of your past glory is not what you want, then I beg your pardon for having made an inappropriate assumption. Many people do desire that. But if you desire something else, I can only say that you will not get it upon my dissolution, which does not mean that I do not oppose you, because I do. In this realm here with what you are doing now.
This sounds like a day move with composure.
Yeah,
What are you afraid is going to happen here?
I'm afraid I'm going to be attacked by her minion,
Mm-hmm.
which would be extremely inconvenient, at least. So let's see whether I have recourse to.
So yeah, give me, if you have a item in your personal quarters you think will help you here, feel free to mark.
It's not dark, so I will say no. My beauty is not in order here, so. Eight.
Cool. So yeah, I think that as she approaches you, she looks you up and down and runs a nail along your cheek, and you can feel it cut sharp into you. No, Peace Blossom, I do not desire to break this one. And the giant man gives a annoyed grunt. Just enough that I just require that she remembers me, holds my mark upon her body. And you can take the condition marred as she runs a nail down the pretty skin of your cheek. Would you like to mark a mask?
No.
Cool.
I have to throw her a bone.
Yeah.
So
And
unless she feels that she has small victories, she may grow desperate.
Mm-hmm. And I think with that, we are going to begin upon our enter the dusk phase. This is kind of the consequence, Ben, I had brought up for you're gonna have this encounter in the night phase, not the day phase.
Is this so do we have a mastermind clue?
The mastermind clue was the chalk door, the doors drawn in chalk. Smudged out.
Okay.
So the question is, as we enter the dusk phase, do we want to talk about answering any of the questions to any of our threats? Our hunters are unfortunately have kind of ended up tying themselves up, except maybe the Countess.
I can kind of
Um,
imagine Silas sort of stewing in his jail cell, trying to work out the solution to this problem of the ghost.
I certainly think we want to try and answer the questions. Whether we
Sure.
can resolve the threats is another matter.
Mm-hmm. Like,
And-
technically, I don't think all the hunters have to even be at a threat to resolve it. It will just be like that threat. Like, if the Countess wants to try and go and exorcise the ghost herself, that's fine, while the other hunters do other things.
Also, I believe we can still answer the question.
Yeah, you can still answer the
to,
question.
Even
Yes.
to it might not be related, but we can still answer the question to Nutcracker, even if you can't resolve it. So
Yes, but we have enough for I believe we have enough for both Miswell Hill and the St. James Street Ghost to take a crack at it with a mastermind clue.
Well, the mastermind clue you can actually own. That's only with the explorer that you can use mastermind clues.
Oh,
as
I'm
regular
sorry.
clues.
I misunderstood that.
Yeah, that was because David was playing explorer in that game that
Gotcha.
we were able to use it.
Got you. Well,
I mean, you still have a fair amount on each of them.
I believe.
Like, I think you have enough to roll with a +1 for either.
Well,
we could
plus-
Or no, it would be a -2 for the. Or did you add in your?
it's
No, okay, yeah, 7 available
it's-
to explain. Yeah, you'd be rolling with a +1 in either.
I think we should give it a try. After all, Mr. We don't know Mr. Gibb is out, is unavailable. We just know he's got a problem. So
which one are we going to attempt to answer first?
the St. James Street Ghost.
Okay.
how can we get this ghost to pass on to the next world? Do you have a theory, Countess? Or Brandon? Yeah.
How can we get it to pass on to the next world? From what we learned before, I believe that what happened was that the living person who became the ghost was trapped. Were they trapped in a fire? Or were they trapped in a place that they thought was on fire? I think that there wasn't actually a fire, that there was perhaps a smoky chimney, and they woke up in the middle of the night believing that it was on fire. And they violently tried to leave the room, and cut themselves terribly on the threshold of with the broken glass of the window, and bled to death. I don't know what the numbers mean yet, but it's the wood of a burned building. I believe that the numbers for the dream, of course, that they had. They dreamed that they're building on fire, and they woke up to smoke, and they thought that it was done, and the clothes that appear dripping wet are their own clothes drenched in blood.
Cool.
The person never got out of this room. They broke the glass to get out. They cut themselves and they bled to death. Never actually exiting.
And never realizing that there was not actually a fire.
That they weren't, yes. And so they are continually trying to escape this realm even after death. And their spirit is raging therefrom. How does the haunted doll feel good?
Think
Do we have
they,
any sort of description of the haunted doll?
I think they figure who died was a child. And the doll-
Yes.
Or they had a child? Maybe they were so desperate to get out of the room because they thought their child was going to
Oh,
burn.
no.
What do you think it is? And so the answer to how to get the ghost to go on to the next world is literally to open the window in a way that the ghost can perceive. That window all cracked into cobwebs. That has to be opened. That has to be made visible to the ghost and opened so that they can actually leave.
I think it has to be the Countess who does that.
I think so too. Which is why, yes, I am. That's what I do.
And
that a window is just a different kind of door in this case.
Cool. So in that case, I would like how about Countess? This is theory that is about you to some degree. How about you give me a roll with +1 to see if this is
That's a miss.
okay. So that means that that solution is incorrect and things will go wrong. So the question is, are you okay with that being the case? Things getting worse somehow? Or are you interested in everyone marking a mass to make this a 7 to 9 result?
I think we should mark a mask in this case, because I think the St. James Street ghost is bad enough.
Yeah, I'm on board.
I think I'm not comfortable marking a mask.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, well then.
Oh, so let's see here. Do you think about how this becomes worse then? Okay, I have a thought in my head. So I guess the other question I'll have then is that the ghost will attack Hargrave House. Like that will be a thing that will happen this night phase. That's the way things will get worse. But anyway, let's go around as we enter the dusk phase. Let's see, I think the first thing we do is bring in another kind of room of Hargrave House. And I think that we will make this one. Oh. I think we'll go with the library. Of all the rooms in Hargrave House, none feel more unstuck than this one. As you enter the library, what do you see or experience that feels a little off? And we'll go reverse character keeper order to open on you, Clark.
Yeah, I think that what feels off here is that no matter I wonder. I think what feels off here is the unsettling feeling that you are not alone. And often whatever book you're trying to look for falls from a shelf when you're just as you go to look for it onto the floor.
Cool. Countess Annalise, what about this room feels off?
There is a carved lamp whose base, a table lamp whose base is carved into the form of an oriental dragon. And the shadows cast by this lamp are odd. With it, it's a gaslight, but it's a steady one, and yet the shadows behind it flicker and briefly take other shapes before kind of settling into their normal space when the light is turned up. As if there's something else casting a shadow there for just a moment.
Cool. Silas, what is off about the library?
There's a richly upholstered armchair sitting in the middle of the floor. And if you sit to read in this armchair, or in fact in any other seat in the room, when you look up from your book, you are in a different place in the room, facing a different shelf.
Cool. So let's also move into dusk moves. Silas, you have a dusk move. I'd like you to give me a roll with the quickening. Let's see how you do this time. Oh boy.
Oh yeah. Let's see.
So here's the thing. I think one option probably is not like there's not a good way of narrating it fictionally for this time.
Yeah,
So I think you
agree.
probably would need to mark a mask. Or retire this character if you're fine with Silas going out this early.
Also an option. No, I think I'm going to.
I mean, the werewolf tearing apart the local police station, the local constabulary, constabulary. That's it.
It could happen.
It definitely could happen. I'm not quite ready to say goodbye to Silas yet. I assume that we can no longer mark the Mask of Perfection for the Nutcracker.
We never marked it, so you can go ahead and mark it. I'd say yes. Go ahead.
I'm just looking at the two of these. I'm going to mark the Mask of the Sun instead.
Cool. think we'll get to that as we seg into our. I have a good moment for that, so we'll hold off on that one just yet. Just a bit. Countess Annalise, you also have a move that activates during the dusk phase.
I do. The scar on my cheek goes away.
Yep.
And the if one were to see the artwork, before I had related the fact that the light in the artwork seemed to have gone from the sun high in the air to the more slanting rays of an afternoon. And now it has gone to just above the horizon, and the commensurate the shadows. The wall behind the Countess casts a stronger shadow, still sharp, and the colors are likewise muted, more pinks and purples, less definition. One has the distinct feeling looking at the three images that the sun is in the process of setting.
Mm-hmm.
And then perhaps something else.
Cool. So here's a question for y'all. What are each of you planning on doing with your night phase? We'll go to you first, Silas. What are you planning on doing with your night phase?
If I can't talk my way out of jail, I'm planning to break my way out of jail.
Okay.
And continue pursuing the ghost.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
We have had a change. So I was talking with one of the other players, and they were expressing how they actually would like to mark a mask to bump it up. And so I would like to mark a mask along with all the other players to answer their question for the ghost correctly.
Sure.
Albeit still with a complication, I guess.
Yeah. Cool. Sure. So is everybody else still interested in doing that? Cool. So what masks are folks marking?
Can I mark the Mask of the Sun?
I think Silas just marked the Mask of the Sun.
Oh no. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, for the quickening.
Is that a unique one? What is the
Yeah.
Mask of the Sun? Oh, it's one of the threat masks.
Yeah.
The Mask of Perfection is still available as a threat mask, though.
Oh, then the Mask of Perfection, if possible.
Okay.
I'm going to mark the Mask of the Past.
And I will also mark the Mask of the Past.
Cool.
Yes, my answer for the Mask of Perfection would have been too mundane anyway.
Well, I think for the Mask of Perfection, that's one of them I'll get an answer from all of you for. But yeah, I think there's a lot of masks to resolve, but so I think we're kind of pace them over the course of this night phase. But so okay, so Silas, you're breaking out, pursuing the ghost. Countess Annalise, what are you doing with this night phase?
I think I have to try and lay this ghost.
Okay.
With Silas, I mean, if Silas shows up to help, that will be very useful because we have a complication that I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm. Clark.
So in fact, do we know that Silas has been in prison?
I don't think so.
No, so it's like, so I've made an appointment to meet Silas there at the Beals, and am worried because he has not made his appearance yet. He's been on time before.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Clark, what are you doing with your night phase?
I think Clark is going to meet whoever is in this curtain, and hopefully, and maybe have a close encounter with a vampire. You know?
We'll see. So yeah, we are coming up on the hour, so I think we'll just I'll introduce the Night's Unseen, and then we will take our second break and kind of take our night phase. So I have it here. We are doing row 11, column I, in honor of our jailbird friend, the prison hulk of Woolwich. Moored near the industrial town of Woolwich are a number of hollowed out old warships that serve as temporary prisons for convicts set to be transferred to Australia and other penal colonies. One of these prison hulks is the HMS Bellerophon, now called the HMS Captivity. A two-young cook is walking above and below deck, passing out the evening's portion of hard biscuits and pea soup. So I'll ask you first, Silas. How do we know the captivity is a nightmare of filth and desperation?
Oh, geez. Hold on, let me close the door real quick. So, yeah, the cook has gone below deck and is passing out these bits of food. And as he walks through a row of what used to be cabins that are now jail cells, they've sort of had makeshift bars installed on them. There is someone whose job it is to clean up the filth and excrement that has leaked out from under the doors of these cells. Just with like
Okay, Countess Annalise, what is a sign? How do we know that the captivity is a nightmare of filth and desperation?
There is a quarantine sign on the dock by the gangway. And a rope drawn there across there that has a red and yellow ribbon on it. And the sign is there's a small painted small notice there that says jail fever outbreak, only allowed personnel only. So things are filthy enough that a nasty prison illness has broken out on board the Hulk.
Ooh, Clark, how do we know that the captivity is a nightmare of filth and desperation?
Yeah, I think there's an older woman in a cell, and she was arrested essentially for poverty, and the camera like stays fixed on her cell for a moment, and there's a time lapse from a moment in which she suffers a like a heart attack or something she suffers a stroke that makes her unable to speak, and as the day progresses and the light changes, no one comes for a doctor, and she slowly withers without proper drink as she's unable to get it for herself, unable to call out, and she meets her dissolution there, and then the body keeps her corpse starts to mold, and the rats get at it, and it starts to deteriorate, and it takes a week before someone comes to find her and do something about it.
So yeah, we open, and I think we're open first. Countess Annalise, how are you attempting to exercise or help this ghost pass on?
Well, as we mentioned before, I think that the ghost is trapped, trying to get out of this house, and so we have to show the ghost that there is a way out. And the trouble is that the ghost cannot really see the difference between, you know, a real open door and a real closed door in their minds. You know, they're still unable to get out the window. They don't understand why they can't do that. They have cut themselves and are bleeding to death and never could get the window open. So I have brought, let's see if I can relate this to something in my personal life. Something cool. No, not really. They have I have brought some ochre. We used to be called red earth, which is a substance that has a property that ghosts can see it. And I am going to smear this on the threshold of the sash and the frame of the window, so that it will appear in the unseen world properly.
Cool.
If Silas collected, or if Silas, actually even better, if Silas collected any ectoplasm after fighting the dog, then I will use that,
Cool.
because that's even more Victorian.
And I think where we open then is as you step into the house, there is a clamor of opening and closing doors, swinging shut and open again. You can feel that you're unwelcome here as the house just creaks and groans around you. The stairs tremoring, and a few of them even like almost bend so much that they actually buckle downwards a few of the steps. What do you do, Countess?
I raise up both my hands and I say, stop. I am here to set you free, and you will behave, and then you will get what you would desire. But if you cannot control yourself, then you will be cursed to wander these halls forever and become more twisted and terrible in the process.
Cool. Give me a night move with presence here. Give me a night move
Yes.
with presence. What are you afraid is going to happen here?
Well, the first level afraid, of course, is that the ghost will would be deaf to my entreaties.
Mm-hmm.
And will actively resist. Now I'll have to expel it, rather than simply let it out.
Mm,
But of course, it's worse than that.
yeah. I think the way it's worse is at this point the ghost hat is like the ghost has been a ghost so long, like its connection to humanity is distanced, like to its past, even though this is the way to let it pass on. If it has the opportunity, it is going to try to keep that doorway open after it goes through, because it doesn't want to leave this world anymore. It wants to be able to have both, to travel back and forth as it pleases, no matter who it harms. Do you go through with this?
I do. This is my office.
Give me a roll with presence. That's a 10. And as we cut away from you making this entreaty,
Command.
well, command, we'll say. Well, I think, let me bring up my unseen tab here. Clark, narrate a scene in which we see the convicts at leisure. How do they entertain themselves? How do they maintain their connection to God and society, if at all?
I think they bang during the bright light of the day. They will ring on the walls, on the rails of the prison, banging on them, almost like how the St. James Street ghost bang like was banging through in 18th St. James Street, and you see the prisoners like making music of sorts on them and calling out to people on shore. You see some loved ones trying to give them strength from afar on the docks before they're shooed away by officers of the law. And they do this because it's one of their only expressions, making sound. It's how they communicate with each other as well.
Cool. And Silas, as we open on you, you have been spending the night in one of the holding cells of the neighborhood's local jail. This isn't a like prison or anything like that. This is a play. This is something where people are taken for processing or other reasons. There are probably a few drunks in the cell with you, a prostitute or two, maybe even a committer of violent crimes or something like that. They're being held, they are locked in here with you. And what is Silas doing as the camera pans onto him?
So I think at the beginning of the night, he was sort of pacing angrily and cursing at the guards. But as the night wears on and he has to sort of grit his teeth and deal with the curse, he settles down. He starts to sweat and go pale. And then he waits for a moment when perhaps there's only a single guard. He sort of picks out the least experienced of the guards and waits for them to be on duty. And he starts to cough and then yells out for the guard. 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 I think they got me after all. And I think it's festering. And once the guard is paying attention to him, he pulls out this what is it? It's a US Marshals badge that has a bullet embedded in it. And he says, I don't think they got me, but they got me. I need a doctor. I need to get sewn up.
Oh yeah, and this is so I'll just let you know a consequence of that 7 to 9 is coming in here. The guard, just is completely what's the word? Oh, what's the word for believing? Just
Take it
completely
in.
yeah, completely
Gullible.
believing, gullible, buying into the story. He's nodding and is like reaching and jangling for his keys. And I think like this is it, you're getting out. And then I think you get a scent of, what does ectoplasm smell like? Or what did the dog smell like to you, Silas?
I think it smells very bitter with an edge of like ozone, like electrified air.
Mm-hmm. You get that scent in the air. And just as the Bobby is about to get the key for your cell out, there is just a terrible tearing sound. And he looks down and a claw has burst through him. And he falls to the floor. And standing just outside the cell is the great black dog, possessed by the ghost power, growling and staring at you. Because as we recall, it is angry at you, Silas.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
Well, now breaking out of jail doesn't seem like such a good idea, does it?
I think the other people in the cell are definitely freaking out and shouting at this point. Except I think probably one drunk who is still asleep in spite of all this.
I think. I mean, Silas has one primary way to deal with situations like this, and it involves firearms. So he is going to like stay calm, or try to stay calm, maintain eye contact with the dog, and then just like really, really fast reach out and grab the revolver on the belt of the guard that has died just outside the cell.
Wonderful. This is a night move with composure here. I think that's something you're okay at, right?
Uh-huh.
What are you afraid is gonna happen?
Um, I'm afraid that the dog is going to get my arm before my arm gets the gun.
I mean, yeah, the dog will certainly get your arm. I mean, you won't have an arm anymore, but the dog will get it.
All right.
Do you go through with it?
Yeah. No dice in my roll. Roll a 3.
Okay, cool. Let's flip over. That sun mask for the Limehouse lurker that we marked. Could I go around and ask? Each hunter narrates a dream they once had of primordial earth, back in time across the ancient seas, back in time when the spirits walked, when the sun was new and the old gods held court. How about we open with you, Silas, since you were the one that marked that?
Yeah, I think Silas has seen a dream of the first pack, which were spirits that, if you saw them, they would have features of wolves and hyenas and great cats. Ranging in size from like the size of a carriage to the size of a house, that bark and sing to each other, echoing the voices of the seas and the volcanoes. And yeah.
Countess Annalise, what dream of the primordial world have you had?
So there is a picture of this world, primitive in all of its ways, wild and unspoiled, but you also get a strong feeling that it is new, as if this mountain here were the first mountains, and these woods here were the first woods, and everything is prototypical. The sun seems very young somehow, and Annalise is there, and is standing with. She is appears to be a girl, and she is standing there, or a young woman, and she is standing there with an older woman who resembles her in some ways, under the shade of a great spreading tree, and peering, blinking up at the sun as it stands in the sky. And she is saying, "Mother, does this mean that our time here is done?" And now that great orb fills the sky. Is there no more use for us? And her mother smiles indulgently, like you might, to a child that knows a great deal but is not yet wise. And she says, no, my darling, for that, while that golden orb which drives us to that we cannot look upon has sway now. It is only for a certain time. And soon it will begin to move. And then sometimes it will be in ascendance, and then sometimes it will not. And so we still have much to do here. And Annalise nods thoughtfully, not entirely understanding, but trusting her mother.
Mm-hmm. Clark, what vision, what dream do you have?
Yeah, I think Clark sees. Well, we see Clark reading a book of fairy tales to his child, who's breathing quite heavily. And it is a story of the creation of the fairy courts. When they separated and disunioned into fairies of the winter and the summer, and their varying sex. And before that, all of them had been in a world of stars and darkness, where everything was the same all the time, and they could work their magics. But there came a time when they agreed that they realized that for all of the fun that they could have playing with a world that was simply bubbling but with very little life in it, that they were actually prisoners in this unending, desolate wasteland, and that for life to truly be entertaining and fun, they would need to create the seasons. So they separated the moon, they crushed the earth like one would crush a nutcracker, and part of it formed into the moon. And that's when the ocean started to truly move with the moon's pull. And the earth in that moment was cast on a tilt. And so the fairies were not prisoner anymore, for they could enjoy the changing of seasons, the waxing and waning of their powers. And the child says that she felt like a prisoner in this bed in this hospital, and wondered if this was her time, that this was the end for her. And Clark says, no, there's still much for us to do. My child, he bends down and kisses her forehead, and she smiles, and Clark looks at her teeth, and they're perfectly purely pearly white except for one hanging loose. And he says, you still have so much growing to do. And he smiles, and that's the end of the dream.
Cool. Clark, as we open on you, there is you come in to this small private room that is thick with the scent of smoked opium, and lounging on several pillows is a man in a golden smoking jacket and yellow silk pants. He has soft slippers on his feet, but the most striking thing about him is that he has a sun-shaped half mask obscuring his identity. And he peers at you as you come in. Oh, there are not so many willing to disturb royalty while they partake in the pleasures of the flesh. Who might be visiting me today, sir?
I think when Clark hears like pleasures of flesh, there's a moment where we flash back to the dream, and we see the child's like teeth falling out, and behind it grows long serrated blades of like almost blade-like teeth, and they dig into Clark's flesh in the scene, and blood starts to spray, and then he's back in the present, and he says, if there's any pleasures we could enjoy together tonight, I would be glad to indulge with you, mysterious gentleman behind a mask. I am Mr. Gibbs, and I bow deeply and give a smile, bearing my own pearly whites.
Of course, you take a seat, sir. There is so little in this world that is of true bliss. But this, and he gestures at his opium pipe, is one of them.
That wasn't the only pleasure I was thinking of indulging with you, sir. You seem quite a well-to-do fella. Is that mask real gold?
It would be what's the word here? It would be profane if it were not. One cannot insult the sun with anything less than true gold. I have seen there were times and worlds other than this one when the sun took a more active role in things and might burn the flesh of those who insulted it. But I still do not want to take my chances even now. He takes a drag on his opium pipe.
My lord, call me Icarus, but may I approach? I'd like to touch that beautiful mask of yours and get a little closer look.
Only if you
It's
don't mind
trap-
your wings burning off. What do you do?
I think I'd take a step into this refined figure with soft hands and beautiful collarbones that I can see almost beneath his silks or the suit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the reclining figure draws me because there's just a tension in myself and I want to release it. And I lean forward and I get in right close to him and I say, may I touch your mask?
He whispers back to you, "You may."
And
And go
yeah,
ahead.
I would like to use my move, a taste for it. When you touch an object relevant to a threat intimately, gently playing with it like you would a lover's ear, I will roll with reason and ask for one from a list.
Sure.
And I'm like looking deep into the mask. I'm not even sure if I can see his eyes, but I can smell his breath, and it smells like plum blossoms, like a summer's breeze, and it smells like ginger and cinnamon, and the mask is gold, but there's something uncanny about it. I would like to to know how will this put me, either this object that I touch, how will this put either me or Hargrave House in danger?
Good thing you asked that specific question. The one thing, so I will, but you get a form. Oh,
It's in the form of a clue.
yeah. So first off, I will just say, never remove the mask.
Okay.
Don't try it. You get a sense that if the mask was removed, that would mean your end.
Okay.
But I think that you get, let's see here. Oh, I think I had.
Oh, I think I have to roll with reason.
Yeah, you have to roll. I thought you had rolled.
I'm sorry, I didn't roll it. I'm quite silly. 2d6 plus 1. Okay, I got a 6 and a 6, which is a 12 plus 1, 13.
Okay, do you get anything extra on a 12?
No.
Yeah, I think that let's see, what do I have here? I think I will come back to you and answer that question of what you get with the clue. But let's return to our unseen here. Brandon.
Yes.
Or Countess Annalise, narrate a scene in which we see a convict being punished by a ship's officer. What did the convict do? How is the punishment being carried out?
So the convict had contraband in his cell. He had it was a deck of playing cards, I think, something like that, something not authorized to have. Harmless in itself, but the rules are the rules. He is punished. This is still a ship under the aegis of the Navy, and the punishment is flogging. which is not a punishment that is carried out in Her Majesty's prisons anymore, but is still has yet to vanish completely from the punishments allotted to the naval regulations. He has a dozen strokes of the cat o' nine tails.
Cool. Silas, as you reach out for the gun, you feel this beast's fangs sink into your arm, and with a wrench, your arm is just wrenched off of your body as the creature tosses it across the room like a stick. You are searing in pain, bleeding out as this creature laps your blood off of the bars. Do you want to mark a mask?
Yeah, that's my shooting arm. I'm gonna mark the darkened threshold.
Cool. So tell me, on a 7 to 9, describe for me how you like you were like reaching out for the gun. What do you do?
I think I find some sort of pebble or like maybe a spoon that they give the prisoners with their food, and I kick it to the other side of the cell, and it sort of clatters against the bars. And in that momentary distraction, I reach through and grab the revolver.
Mm-hmm. And I think like there's this moment where the creature like stares back at you, sees the gun in your hands, and still lunges at you. Like I think you still have like your arm is almost still like stuck out between the bars, right? You haven't even had time to pull it back in yet.
Hmm.
What do we see you do?
I think I like shove my leg between the bars as well, maybe through a different gap in the bars, and sort of plant my boot against its body just to keep it far enough away that I can cock the hammer and fire at it.
Cool. I think that with where we're at with time, I think that also with that success, you do manage that. I think you have I'm gonna give you the condition gored. I think like you get this big slash as one of its claws like reaches through the bars at you, and I think it leaves you with this big like slash across one, like this 3 slash marks across your face as you fire into it. And I think you are holding out here, and let's flash to our fourth part of our final part of the unseen. So Silas, could you narrate a scene in which we see a convict finding comfort and companionship within the bulkheads of the captivity?
Yeah, I think this is the same convict that we saw getting flogged up on deck. And there are these horrific welts across his back that are slowly growing infected from all of the filth in this place. And he's sort of lying, groaning on the floor of his cell, and one of the neighboring convicts reaches through the bars and drags him closer and sort of like tears open his shirt, and there's only so much that he can do, but he does everything he can to sort of clean the wound and very quietly tells him a story to ease his suffering.
Cool. Countess Annalise,
Yes.
you are here. Like you are at the top floor of the attic, the window through which you can see the burning house now in all, like it is just a clear sight through this window of the house, the burning house in the distance, that vision that Silas had.
Yes. So I take out the little bottle of ectoplasm, and I anoint the sash and the frame of the window with my thumb. I light a small purple candle and place it on a table to one side. On the other side, I take out from my bag a small ornate Bible, which I open, and you can see that it is illuminated. It is illuminated and is written in ancient Greek. And I open it to a particular page that is about the transubstantiation of souls, and place it to the other side. And then I take out a small silver bell and I ring it. And as the bell, as the tones are ringing out, I lift the sash of the window open. And I say, you are summoned now to depart this world and come to the next one. Come, dear sweet ghost. Your time and travails are done.
Mm-hmm. And based on some of the fiction we established, the opening of the door is not the hard part here. The ghost wants you to open the door.
Yes.
But the question is, you could leave it, Countess Annalise. You could leave this door open, and this threat would be resolved for now. Certainly to Hargrave House's liking, at least. But are you willing to leave this wound between the dead and the living?
No. That is contrary to the duties that make me who I am.
Mm-hmm.
No, I will see the ghost out, and then I will close that door, never to be opened again.
Cool. This is a night move with sensitivity. Do you have anything that would, I think, were you pulling on some stuff from your
I wasn't, but I will add something from my from my personal quarters. And I think in with the ectoplasm is a perfume that evokes a sense of lost love. That is evokes the powerful desire to revisit the past, to redress things that make things right. And in the case of love, that can never be, but sometimes one can go forward in order to heal the past. So that's what I'm going to do.
Cool. Give me a 3d6 and we'll keep the highest 2.
$11.
Cool. Why don't you describe for us the moment that this door that you seal this door shut? Because on 11 you just do it.
Yes, the ghost goes out, and its shadow, and it's through the window. You can see it still lingering out, apparently outside. I snuff the candle. I put the bell down. I close the book. I snuff the candle, and I slam the sash of the window down. And the window glass shatters completely and falls out of its frame. And having done that, the ghost is gone.
Cool.
The door, the door is destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Literally and figuratively both.
Cool. And I think Silas, it's at that moment with you fighting off this beast, firing this gun into it, that it finally slumps forward. And this thing has been dead now, you can see clearly for a long time. Like the flesh just sloughs off of it into a rotting, decomposing heap. And as you kind of bleed from these wounds of your face. What's the last moment of Silas we see before the end of this episode, at the end of this episode?
I think perhaps D.I. Pettigrew has heard the commotion from the other room, and he walks in to see this scene, and Silas just says to him, "I told you not to interfere in Hargrave House business."
Great. And Clark, you touch the mask, caress it. So there are 2 things. You got that 12 plus, so I'm also going to give you a mastermind clue here. You look up and you realize all along the wall, you don't know how you couldn't have seen it before. Were they always there? There are images. There is a whole mural painted around the walls of this small room depicting depicting a sunscape of some world other than this one. Someplace long ago, maybe, far away, maybe. You can't tell. But it is clearly an alien sunscape. And you look back down at the mask, and the face looking back just momentarily is just slightly, just uncannily not your own. What slight change do you notice before it disappears?
Oh, of my own face, the reflection of the luster of the mask?
Yes.
I think what changes is that, well, touching the mask, looking up, my hand, kind of nicks on the mask, and I start to bleed from a finger. And looking at it, and then looking at my own face, I see where my teeth are long, very long incisors, almost like a wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And I grin with the hunger of a wolf, and I slip my hand under the mask so that the man in the mask may lick my finger, and we deepen into indulgence from there.
Mm-hmm. I think he whispers one last thing to you. Do you wish to remove it, dear? I warn you, there is always a cost to curiosity.
I say, I will not breach your privacy where your mouth be, though I wish to kiss you so. But I will take my business
It's like a
elsewhere.
half mask, so like the lower part of his face is open. It like
Okay.
covers the top half of his face.
Yeah, yeah. I do not need to see your heart bared to know your love, or at least some aspect of it. And I lean in for a kiss.
Mm-hmm. And we fade to black there. And I think that basically takes us to the end of the session. I realize there's some stuff that we have not gotten a chance to resolve yet. A lot of masks got marked in the last hour. So we'll need to go through and figure that all out to next week. But I look forward to playing with you all then. I'm gonna take us off air now, so I'll be seeing everyone. Have a good week.